Hello everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Right now it is morning, so good morning to everyone. As of today, it is January 10th, 2026 on a Saturday. So, um as you can tell, and this is what I'm going to be or in this video what I'm going to be mentioning is pretty much the voice centric. Just, give you guys a little rough draft about it. So where I am at right now is actually at my family's house. So if you actually notice in my first video, you're gonna kind of somewhat see me in the same kind of clothing, but honestly, it's just a different day. And it's just I'm doing some yard work, so that's why you see some grass pieces, all over me. And probably even at the end of this video, you'll probably see some, because again, I'm doing some yard work. Anyways, so I'm actually gonna take you guys around. So this is gonna probably be maybe a two-parter. So because I'm gonna also do this video, explain to you guys about the actual voice century, and then I'm gonna take you guys around my house and all that stuff. So, and again, I wish I wasn't struggling with the videos that I did on my GoPro, because it shows like the before, but now you guys are gonna pretty much see the after and how much or what I did, and you guys will pretty much see the rest of it and what I'm gonna be pretty much finishing. Anyways, again, I like to talk. Just keep going. Anyways, okay. So like I said, I'm here at my family's house, and I pretty much, did a lot of my life here. Practically my whole life was, a good portion here and there. Sometimes we got to branch out here and there. So a little bit more about me is that I have three other siblings and two cousins. So with me, that makes four when it comes to the siblings. Six in total, with my cousins. But I am the oldest out of all of them. I have a sister and two brothers, and they're all doing their own thing. And it's so eventually I will probably bring them in, because one of the thing is, and this is one thing I want to get out to you guys, is that privacy. Is that some everyone has their own privacy. And everyone's entitled to their own privacy. So even if you were to look someone up, so on and so forth, it's you're all willing to do, but then that also categorizes you as kind of a creep, because some of the people that I'm going to be talking about, some people who I'll be again bringing in, is that they're going to support me, but they don't want to be shown on camera. So again, you guys got to respect the privacy, okay? So don't be one of those creepers, coming up out of nowhere and saying this and all that stuff. Just don't be one of those people. So just give each other's privacy and all that stuff. The people that I mentioned or will be mentioning, especially during this voice century, is that there are people, again, I used to hang out with, and there's certain things that I will say and not say, because obviously there's just just some tension. And obviously, in other words, I ain't no snitch either too, but just explaining myself and all that stuff, it just comes with it and all that. So right now, yes, I have parents. And I'm still grateful to have grandparents, and everyone is. So I really hope that they still live for another 100 years. And that's actually some of the jokes that you'll be hearing from me and all that stuff, because I do like to tease my grandparents here and there, because even when before they got even older from where they are right now, they always teased them about stuff of 100 years, 100 years, 100 years. They're way up there, but it is always funny every time when they talk about 100 years this, because obviously they lived in a certain time that is was pretty good before how it is in America. I kid you not. So every year had its own struggle here and there, especially when it comes to presidency, running the state, and so on and so forth, or your city and all that. So I'm happy to still see my grandparents here with me. And when the time comes, I really hope the Lord takes them and takes care of them after that. And of course, always visiting them and all the stuff, and other family members and all stuff. Anyways, rambling. Okay, so this voice century, this time period of the voice century, is actually dated my freshman year of 2025. And this is the thing about my YouTube video, is that yes, that is when I originally started with some other people. I think we only did it for like maybe a year. Well, it pretty much felt like just a year, but it was, I think, like 2 years, because you could take multiple takes here and there, especially when people, come, as the year goes by. But it just felt, it was actually like 2 years, but it just felt like 1 year, especially when you just put everything together. But it started in 2025, and it ended, the Voice Century started in 2025 and went to 2000, I want to say 11 or 12. So that right there is like practically the Voice Century. But even at that, I don't recall too much, even from like in the early 2000s, or I should say the mid 2000s. But for the 4 years, because I am a high school graduate, the 4 years of 2005 to 2008, which is the year I graduated, I met a lot of people, from other schools with the activities that I was in here and there, so there's a lot of people that I know, and there's, we all, I don't really hang out with too much of the people that I went to school with in high school. We all have, we all grow up from each other, grow apart from each other. For those people who still are friends with, each other from, high school and stuff, like one of my brothers is, that's good. It's always good to have, people here and there. The thing is, when you grow apart, sometimes it's okay. Yeah, there's going to be some disputes here and there. Or sometimes, some people got to find themselves, they got to go, find, who they are or what they want to accomplish literally in life. So, it's always good to maybe hit up them once in a great while. You don't have to hang up, or hang around. You could chat. You don't talk about like chat like hours or days and all that stuff. I'm not saying like that, but just check up on the people. It's always good to check up on people. Sometimes I hit up people, or I see posts from my other platform. I just say, oh, that's pretty cool, you're over there and all that stuff, and so on and so forth. And they go back and forth, with me too. Again, just a little chat and all that stuff. Anyways, is that eventually you'll find new friends and all that stuff, especially when it comes to work. I actually told this former coworker that I used to work for Amazon, and I'll bring that up. Everyone talks about Amazon, and boy, do I have quite a bit to talk about Amazon. Anyways, is that he talks about the same thing too, about not hanging out with friends and all that stuff. But I told him, like, bro, well, at the time, when we were working for Amazon, it's like, bro, you got all the friends you need, and I used to hang out with, a few people that I actually did train and all that stuff. I had another small little group, so what I told him is that, sometimes you grow apart from your friends that you went to school with, but you gain new ones from where you work and all stuff. And sometimes, you don't have to be friends, people at work and all stuff, I know, with Amazon, there's multiple teams. I went from one team to another, and then, I pretty much said my goodbyes. But, I still chit chat with some people that I used to work with and all that stuff. So not a lot, because, we're working on stuff. We got our own life and all stuff. And some of us now have families and all. So we don't really got, the time to chit chat or hang out like how we used to and all stuff. But, to each their own. We got to let them live their life, especially if they're bringing in a family. We could be there and all stuff, but if we don't have a family ourselves, then it, it's not awkward, it's not weird and all stuff, but it would be nice to have also someone grow up with someone, with their friends and all that stuff. So anyways, so yeah, just recapping on that, some of that stuff. So again, Voice Century 2005 to a little bit 2012. I want to say maybe it was like within, okay, yeah, so this Voice Century, sorry. So again, like I said, I met a lot of people here and there, literally from good to bad and all that. The YouTube videos that I did start in 2005, my freshman year, and I do recall it in sophomore year 2006, and I want to say it pretty much ended there, because during my junior year I was kind of getting into trouble and all that stuff. And just like any teen would, not every teen is perfect and all that stuff. I was very terrible, just I was going through phases and all that stuff, just trying to find, who I am and all that stuff. And I didn't make, I wasn't super big, I wasn't popular in, school and all that stuff, but, my name did get around here and there. So, it was nice and all that stuff. When people saw me, he's like, oh, is that the guy? He's like, yeah. It's like, oh, man. So, and then of course, from other schools that, with the events, because I was in sports, all that stuff. So, when I went to competitions and all that stuff, I met new friends and all that stuff. And, every time we met up during the competition and stuff, we did our own thing and all stuff. So, anyway, so yeah, so the videos I did was Jackass. It was a thing way back then. It still is, but again, like I said, everyone does it. Like I mentioned before, there's no new content. Everything is done already. It's just how it's done. It's just taking to the next level. And people have, I kid you not, the people that, again, if way back then, if I were to have kept on going or even just done solo, because I originally wanted to start this video again in 2015, because I wanted to literally do it 10 years after my first year of high school, but things just kept on coming. I kept on pushing it, and people that I met and all that stuff. But I'll go more into that later. But anyways, yeah. So I did Jackass videos, and they weren't the best. Again, cameras back there were kind of poor quality unless you had money. Audio was terrible, of course. And the thing about these videos is that I've been looking for them. I remember seeing them like years back, and I'm pretty sure I'm looking, like typing in the right words and all that stuff. But that's one thing about me. I can't read right. There's certain words I cannot read. There's certain words I cannot spell right and all that stuff. And you're gonna notice that. So that's why I actually like to have people read for me and all that stuff, especially when it comes to legal things. That's why when it comes to like terms and conditions, I would actually regardless if I sign it, I put a little star note or just like kind of cross thing, which kind of indicates saying that you agree but you didn't really read or something like that, because you just don't understand it. So but sometimes in order to proceed or go on with something, you have to just do it, either that, just walk away and all stuff. But sometimes you just gotta go and sign your name and all stuff. So anyways, is that these videos that I was trying to look for them again, but I don't know if the person that I will be eventually talking about took him down, or if it's just not up or something. I don't know. But about these videos, again, if someone that I'm gonna be talking about does send me my way, or kind of posts a link and tags me in all stuff, these videos right here, you guys, I'm actually giving you guys permission to do whatever you guys want. However, there are going to be some videos where you do not see me, because they're, going to be someone else's. The only thing I ask for you guys is that, because again, I haven't really talked to this person in a while. I don't know what he's doing. I know what he wanted to do while he was in high school, and then after he graduated. So if he's, successful in what he wanted to do and all that stuff, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that, is that you do what you want with these videos, but make sure you don't bash these people, because it could ruin their reputation, their life and all that stuff, especially for what they work for, what they want to achieve. And then, internet's forever, or, it's not internet is forever, but, recording could be possibly forever, because, you can record this, download it, put it somewhere else, and then make copies here and there, send out copies, and then he's like, oh, well, that's deleted. But of course, there could be that one original copy. So it's just because I don't know if this guy literally did what he wanted to do, because he's in a pretty funny video. I kid you not. It's a pretty funny video that I kind of wish that I want to find and use it, on my platform. And eventually, I'm gonna keep looking, because again, I know I could ask, I guess you could say my acquaintance, about these videos and all this stuff, but say, hey, where's these videos at? What is the name and all this stuff and all that stuff? Because again, I'm pretty sure I'm typing up the right things, just I can't find anything. But again, I don't know if he took them down, because, I've been mentioning a little bit about this and all that stuff, or if he, if I don't know, I just can't find them. But, again, these videos, use what you want with them. If you do come across them, just make sure you don't bash too much of certain people that are not where I'm not in them, because again, you could ruin their life and their reputation and all that stuff. Just, don't be one of those people that does all that stuff. I know I'm going off and all that stuff, but it's just one of those things, So, but yes, I pretty much did Jackass videos. Didn't really get fully hurt, because, I wasn't hesitant, but it's just some of the videos like I did was, you know, they were okay again. You know, they're okay, just really poor quality. You know, again, camera just sucks. Audio, not all that. And you know, some of the ideas were not too bad and all that, but you know, wish we could have done a little bit more. You know, just could have done a lot more. But if no one's gonna, if only one person or two people are gonna do the stunts and all that stuff, you know, it just kind of seems like, hey, why can't you do any and I record, you know, all that stuff, you know, we gotta take turns on stuff. Either that, you know, you gotta comp up something, you know, but I don't know. Anyways, rambling too much, I know. So I'm gonna actually end this video and go show you guys a part 2 of this video, and you know, around my house and all that stuff. So again, I'll bring a little bit more of this voice entry of certain people and stuff. And I guess to end this, or to before I end this, that again, you know, it's high school stuff, emotional things, phases, and all that stuff. And you know, everyone has past here and there. Everyone, you know, it's just a past that, you know, I don't really want to talk about, of certain things or certain people and all that stuff. And then of course there's others where I don't mind calling them out and all that stuff. But overall, you know, oh well, I don't know. Anyways, all right. So I'm gonna end this video, go do a recording outside, and show you guys my outside. Oh, that's the thing. Outside, only outside of my family's property only. I'm not gonna show you the inside. I will actually do a video on the inside of the house, but I'm not gonna post it just yet. But I am gonna just do the outside, show you what I've been working on and all that stuff. So, and you guys are gonna see some things. You know, I'll just wait till that. Anyways,